Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo-O. It is June 27th, wrapping up June, getting into July. July's a good month. It's my birthday month, so always like that. I'll be 51 years this year. Can you believe it? 51 big years. A lot of good stuff in those 51 years. Wow. A lot of memories. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it feels pretty full. Looking forward to more years, and Lord willing, I'll be able to keep rolling, and enjoy some time on this planet before I go see the Lord. So we're in the book of Ecclesiastes. If you don't know me, my name's Bo Willette, and I do these devos every morning, actually go through the Bible. Super cool concept. Many people kind of wonder about the things of life, like we're going through in the book of Ecclesiastes, why we're here, what's the purpose of it all that jazz. And they just never bother to read like a pretty, I would say, important collection of books known as the Bible. Yeah, it's kind of weird how we avoid that book. We'll watch other things, we'll listen to other things, but we definitely avoid this one. And I certainly did too, until a certain period of life, and then I just started reading it. I'm a Southern California boy, so, through all my experience with music and studying music and going to college for music, but even before that, just metal bands, punk bands, reggae, I mean, you name it, just all kinds of music. And in my life, I was super influenced by it, but that's where I first heard the Bible, was through a lot of bands, especially bands like Iron Maiden, metal bands. I heard a lot of scriptures in there, and I never knew it was the Bible. I remember when Metallica came out, Metallica would quote the Bible. Had no idea that was the Bible. Really it made me think about the Bible, and maybe I should read it. And so lo and behold, I did. But, there's a lot of questions that we have. The book of Ecclesiastes is very existential. You might have heard of that philosophy. I'm going to quote Jean-Paul Sartre. Can you say that? Jean-Paul Sartre. And he is more of a contemporary, he's passed away, but he's definitely more recent of an existentialist philosopher. And he wrote, "Humans can do nothing unless they have first understood that they must count on no one but themselves, that they alone, abandoned on earth in the midst of their infinite responsibilities, without help, with no one and no other aim than the one they set themselves, with no other destiny than the one that they forge on themselves on this earth." Basically, Jean-Paul Sartre says, hey, guess what? We're basically nothing, and we have to remember that we have these responsibilities, but really no other aim than our own aim. There's no other purpose. There's no God out there. If there is, he's certainly not in our lives. And so these existentialists, saw that God is nowhere to be found. And, you go outside your house and you go, man, I don't see God. And so it led them to think man, we must be all alone on this planet. And certainly that's how Solomon's talking in a lot of ways, right, in this book of Ecclesiastes. Again, it's the way a lot of us have thought in our lives before, and even still do. We still have those kind of ideas of why did God do this? Why is this happening? What about this? What about that? We don't have a real confidence. It's interesting. Jesus said God is our Father. Man, that blew people away. Like he's really involved. He's a father. He's caring for us. A lot of times when tragedies hit, injustice happens, conflict goes on in our lives, we don't think of God as a father, right? We think of God somewhere out in the distant, nowhere to be found. Why is he allowing this to happen? And that's how Solomon's writing this book. Very existential, And so just remember that when we're reading the book. So Solomon goes on in chapter 9 and he says, "This too I carefully explored." So here he goes. He's searching around. I've explored this in life. Even though the actions of godly and wise people are in God's hands, no one knows whether God will show them favor. The same destiny ultimately awaits everyone, whether righteous or wicked, good or bad. Certainly, ceremonially clean, ceremonially unclean, religious or irreligious, good people receive the same treatment as sinners, and people who make promises to God are treated like people who don't. Seems like it really doesn't matter, kind of how you live. It seems like some people live very much against God, and they just go on like the person who is very into God. I don't see much difference, right? The same destiny ultimately awaits everybody. Yeah, we've noticed that. You've probably noticed that too, right? Where you looked around and you go, man, why am I the one who's sick? Why am I the one who's not feeling well? I mean, God, I'm the one who's dedicated my life to God. I'm the one who's come to Jesus, that kind of idea. So we've all had these feelings, these thoughts, right? It's the issue of our sin that separated us from a holy God, where there's this distance and there's this disconnect. And here you see it expressed in our minds, right? In our thoughts. God, where is God? It doesn't seem like there's much justice with God. Do I doubt the justice of God? It's a good question. Do I doubt that God is a just God and that he's going to do the right things? Do I trust that he's my Father and that my Father will, take care of things the way he sees fit? Those are good questions. It seems so tragic that everyone under the sun suffers the same fate. This is why people are not more careful to be good. Instead, they choose their own course, their own mad course, and they have no hope. There is nothing ahead but death anyway. There is hope only for the living. As they say, it is better to be a live dog than a dead lion. Hey, the only people that really got it going are people that are alive. Everybody else is going to die, and people are dead, and it's better to be a live dog than a dead lion. Meaning you could be strong, but if you're dead, right? You can be all that on the planet, but if you die, you die. And the one who's living seems to have the upper hand, right? Because they're living. And so you can see how a lot of the world is always thinking these ways, and they're always bummed. Injustice. We got to fix the injustice. We got to without the eternal in our minds, without thinking of eternity, without thinking of what Jesus has come to reveal, which is the Father, and that there is life after death. With that, if we just take that away and we just say, well, I'm not going to listen to Jesus and what Jesus says, I'm just going to look at life on this earth, then we kind of get frustrated, don't we? And we can see why people that are activists, that tend to, go into the streets with their picket signs, tend to be very angry, right? Whether it's for what cause, what we call social justice today, or this justice, or that justice, or environmental justice, or whatever. Notice how mad they are, right? Because they don't see things really from an eternal perspective. They're trying to fix things in the here and now. They think that if they can just get their way, that everything will be right and everything will go well. They're missing a whole piece of the component, and that is no. That something's wrong with human beings, that even if you get your way and we all go electric car route, what we're going to do is make things worse, because that's what humans do. We think we're going the right way. There's a way that seems right to a human. But in the end, the Bible says it leads to destruction. We're still going to die, and we have to face our Maker. That's right. And so, wouldn't it be better just to admit our failures now and say, man, we need a Savior, and we definitely need redeeming, because we are irredeemable. We are that bad off. And if there's anything looking within yourself or looking without at the world shows us, and that is our utter depravity, right? Our utter problems, our need. So Solomon observes that, hey, people on the earth, better to be a live dog than a dead lion. I always like that proverb. The living at least know they will die. It says, but the dead know nothing. They have no further reward, nor are they remembered. Whatever they did in their lifetime, loving, hating, envying, is all gone. They no longer play a part in anything here on earth. So go ahead, eat your food with joy, and drink your wine with a happy heart, for God approves this. Wear face clothes with a splash of cologne. Hey, enjoy, have fun, dress up, make merry, enjoy, go party, man, go hit the clubs, go do the concert, go do this. Just forget about everything. Forget about all things, because guess what? You're going to die. When you die, you're nothing. You can see him totally just, not thinking about anything of eternal value, eternal meaning, that your life on earth has eternal ramifications, anything like that. He just kind of is talking about, again, like, man, you might as well just go do it. Again, he goes back to that eat, drink, be merry thing, right? And again, I remind you that Paul the Apostle said, hey, because Jesus rose from the dead, man, we can move away from just vain living, right? Vain pursuits, living for the here and now, because there is an eternity to gain, a heaven to gain, right? And that happens through forgiveness. That's how it happens, is through your forgiveness. And, but a lot of people don't think that way. A lot of people, and a lot of us as humans, have thought just about life on this planet, that it just seems so lame, and it seems so just kind of pointless. So you might as well just go and get as many toys as you can and go do your thing and live it up as much as you want with a splash of cologne. Like that. Live happily with a woman you love through all the meaningless days of life that God has given you under the sun. The wife God gives you is your reward for all your earthly toil. Whatever you do, do well, for when you go to the grave, there will be no work or planning or knowledge or wisdom. Hey, might as well enjoy your wife. Enjoy your intimacy that you have. Enjoy everything that you have, because it's all going away anyway. What's the point of it? Nothing really. But just enjoy it while you can. Kind of in a sense, almost a very hedonistic philosophy, right? A group called the Epicureans in the New Testament are mentioned. Those that really look to happiness as being really the primary goal of living. And here you see Solomon really emphasizing that. And have we not met people like this before? Have you not been this way yourself before? Can't you relate to this? Of course you can, right? And this is how Solomon's thinking. And it says, I have observed something else under the sun. The fastest runner doesn't always win the race. That's true, right? It says the strongest warrior doesn't always win the battle. That's true too. Sometimes the one who's not so good wins. The wise sometimes goes hungry, and the skillful are not necessarily wealthy. And those who are educated don't always lead successful lives. It is all decided by chance. Just fate. Just kind of the luck of the roll of the dice, right? I mean, come on. We've all been that way. Man, it's just luck. It's just what happens. Some people go, oh no, it's karma. Well, no, not really. I mean, the people that are wealthy are sometimes the worst people of all, right? People doing all kinds of horrible acts. I mean, gosh, we read about things that go on and how people in government make their money. And man, it bothers us. Why? Because there's a lot of injustice involved, right? Coercion, insider trading, things like that. And we just go, whoa, is that right? Is that really good? But if we really get down to the heart of the issue, man, we all seem to be this way. We all seem to be pretty yucky. And that's really interesting, right? That we all got this kind of issue going on. And it doesn't seem very consistent, meaning life doesn't seem like always if you work out the strongest or eat the healthiest, you're going to stay healthy. You can have all the kale in the world, I guess, and then all of a sudden you get sick. I saw this with my own mom, right? A very healthy lady, eats very well, very cautious about her eating habits, her drinking habits, very exercise-friendly lady. And man, she gets cancer and boom, within the year, her body dies, that kind of thing. And man, just amazing how that works, right? It doesn't seem to make sense. Yeah. And it seems like it's all decided by chance. That there's not some purpose. There's not some father who's running the show, But it seems so arbitrary, so random, But yet, we even read in the New Testament that Jesus' death was by the predetermined purpose of the Father. Wow, what a trip. Yeah, it was already determined that the Christ, the Messiah, should die the way he died and when he would die and at whose hands he would die. I mean, unreal. This is the idea of that God is all-knowing. And this is something Solomon is kind of thrown out in this book. He's kind of looking at life without this personal God who knows everything. He's kind of just looking at God as like a title of something that's out there, in the great beyond. But it certainly makes sense when you're just looking at life on this planet, right? The frustrations that we all have. Why do we go to drugs? Why do we go to drinking? Why do we do the things? Because it seems so random. It seems it seems like life is so unnecessary in so many ways. Why is it that an innocent, child gets abused by their parents when they didn't do anything wrong? But yet they still get abused, right? And now they have to deal with that abuse usually the rest of their lives. It seems so unjust, right? But yet we see that God, as the revelation continues in the Bible, God keeps showing his faithfulness and showing that no, there is purpose, there is redemption, and there is victory, and there is beautiful liberation, and all these things like that. People can never predict when hard times might come. It says that's true. You can't predict when hard times are going to come. Like fish in a net or birds in a trap, people are caught by sudden tragedy. That's right. We have no clue what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. We just have no idea, right? Everything is risk. All's risk. Isn't that amazing? We think that we're in control. Nope. Right? All risk. It says, here's another bit of wisdom that has impressed on me as I've watched the way our world works. There was a small town with only a few people, and a great king came with his army and besieged it. A poor wise man knew how to save the town, and so it was rescued. But afterward no one thought to thank him. So even though wisdom is better than strength, those who are wise will be despised if they are poor. What they say will not be appreciated for long. So true. He sees another thing. He sees that people that are uneducated and that are part of our quote educated class are just as wise as those that are part of the educated class. And even though they have wisdom, they will not be seen as those who have wisdom because they're not part of the upper echelon, right? There's this class warfare that goes on. Solomon observes that in his day. Isn't that crazy? You've heard of that before. Economic class warfare, class races. Where you're on the poor side, you're on this side, you're middle class, you're on the rich, this kind of class warfare that goes on. Solomon sees that. Solomon sees the prejudices that go on in this kind of attitude on the planet. That you can be bright, you can be smart, but because you didn't go to that college, you didn't get your degree, you're not one of the experts. Those that have the money are the experts. Those that have gone through, right, the secret society of learning, they have, the stamp of approval. But the other ones, no matter how smart they are, or how bright they are, or how much wisdom that they have, they're not seen that way, and they're not listened to. Instead, they're despised, not appreciated at all. So true, right? Very true. God, help me not to see the world this way. Help me not look at at people this way. Let me understand that there's a value to the poor man and his wisdom, or the rich person and their wisdom. Let me see that without prejudice. Those are incredibly difficult things to do. This is what was cool about Jesus. Jesus could hang with those that had money, and he can hang with those that don't have money. And boy, what a amazing teacher Jesus was and continues to be in our life. It says, better to hear the quiet words of a wise person than the shouts of a foolish king. That's right. Better to have wisdom than weapons of war, but one sinner can destroy much that is good. That last statement. One sinner can destroy much that is good. It's amazing how, man, we can tear down so fast. Unreal, right? And it kind of blows us away that maybe just by our tongues, by our words that are said, we can tear down years of progress. Be careful what we say. And that's something we have to really work on. God, help our hearts, right? We should be seeing things a lot different as Christians. We should be seeing a more full picture, a God who is very personal in our lives, a God who has a purpose and a plan, a God who works all things together for good to those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. That nothing is without God's, if you will, shepherding in our life, his fatherly hands in our life. That's how we should be looking at things. But Solomon's definitely given us a view. Life under the sun. Very existential. So, man, a cool chapter. A good devo to go over. It certainly talks a lot about our mortality, But remember, I think how we apply a lot of Ecclesiastes is always that we're going to run into people who have these views. And we can give them hope. That's the important thing to always remember about this book. This is how people see things. And, you're going to be engaging in people. You got to be ready. And you got to be ready with holding out some hope to them. So, Paula, thank you so much for joining. Mike, so glad you're with me, brother. Hope you're enjoying some golf. Laura is in the house too. And yeah, Taco Tuesday. Maybe you guys are going to get some tacos today, okay? I need to give it a shot myself. So you guys take care. Bye-bye.